Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video. This is going to be a first impressions on a knife that came to me recently. If you follow me on Instagram or are on the Sharp Stuff Facebook page, you already know a little bit about this, especially because as soon as I saw it clear customs, I posted, hey, something really cool cleared customs. This was what I was waiting for. This, of course, is a Shirogorov box. In the box, you're going to get some paperwork, including a certificate of authenticity. There's that fancy little folded up piece of cardboard. And there, of course, is the Shirogorov F3 in orange G10 with blue accents, titanium liner lock, L-Max blade. So let's do a quick rundown of sort of the features and just kind of an overview of the knife. And then I'll give you some measurements, size, weight, all that kind of stuff. And finally give you my initial impressions of the knife, not my overall impressions, because that'll be when I do a full review. So we have a very nicely stonewashed L-Max blade here, full flat grind, very thin behind the edge. I haven't measured it yet, but I will for the full review. Really, really nice blade if you want your knife to cut stuff. Very nicely finished. Everything you touch just feels like it's really been, given some attention and care. I haven't taken the sticker off the pivot yet, but I will. I wanted to leave it on for this video and then I'll take it off. But over here we have this wave pattern 3D machined G10. We have titanium liners, no milling inside, but it's still not a super heavy knife. You can see a slight relief cut there. Really nicely recessed access to the lock bar. Of course, it's a Shirogorov, so the action is fantastic. This, of course, is my first one. The first one I handled one once, but this is the first one I've owned. And really, out of all their models, this was the one I was by far the most interested in, the F3. I just feel like, it's the most carryable, usable, practical of their knives. And I try to, stick to that to some degree in my collection. I know from time to time I pick up something a little outlandish, but generally I want a knife that I can use and carry. Whoops. It is, of course, on bearings. The action is very nice. The detent is dialed in, and you can see those weird little Shirogorov fasteners. Back there, you can see, I guess take a look at the back. You can see the blue G10 backspacer. Lanyard hole is integrated in there, and there is the very well-known, very recognizable Shirogorov clip. So let me grab you a size and weight on this. It is a pretty large knife, guys. One of the things, though, that I like about it is it's large and yet very usable, very carryable, very comfortable in hand, and slices really well. So it's kind of a knife that's right in my wheelhouse. I know everyone is not going to like a knife of this size. Overall size on this guy is going to be 8 and looks like 13/16 to me. Blade length here is just under 3 7/8. Handle length is going to be pretty well right on 5 inches. Now, the handle width, I did bring my caliper because it's fairly wide, fairly thick in the handle here. So 6.18 thousandths thick. So a good bit over half an inch thick. Let's take a quick measurement of blade stock since I've got it here. 155 thousandths if I drop down to where the grind begins. If I go back here on sort of the shoulder, 156 thousandths. Since we're here looking at this, let's grab thickness behind the edge. I'm going to call this fairly thin, 19 thousandths. So yeah, that is fairly thin for a full flat grind, especially. A hollow grind, sometimes they get a little bit thinner than that. That's still pretty thin for any knife, but not bad. Now, I will say the camera is throwing it off a little bit. Look, when I put the ruler in here, it goes much, much oranger, and that's really a little more accurate. Let's finally grab a weight on here. Well, let's not do grams. Whoops. You know, you would think someone who's been making YouTube videos for as long as I have would know to get the scale in the right units before starting a video, but there it is, 5.15 ounces. So 5.15 ounces is the overall weight. Okay, so now you've got some specs on this knife. Really a larger knife, very comfortable in hand, very well put together. The action is fantastic. The blade grind is fantastic. The big elephant in the room, of course, is the cost. And that's what everyone comments on when it comes to Shirogorov. They are very expensive. Now, I will say I got a pretty decent price on this one. I did buy it brand new. I was able to buy it from outside of the US and therefore didn't have to kind of deal with, anyway, let's say sometimes US prices are a little inflated on these. So I got a little bit better of a deal by going elsewhere. But I am fairly impressed. Okay, I see why people like these knives. I see why people spend the money on them. You know, would I do it again? Am I going to buy like 6 Shirogorovs? Would I recommend that everyone else go out and buy one? Not necessarily, right? Now, if you love it and it's just a dream to own one, hey, that's a different ball game. And maybe by the time I've had this for a month or so and I'm able to do a full review, it will have totally won me over. But as it stands right now, it's a fantastic knife. I'm blown away by just the quality, by the feel in hand, by the performance of this. But there are other knives that I've been blown away by that cost, you know, less than half the price. So that is an elephant in the room, and I will deal with that to a greater degree when we get to the full review. While we're sitting here, I want to say one more thing. And that is to say that in stark contrast to this very expensive knife, I had a request this week for a video that I actually thought that I would have done, but the guy was right. He couldn't find a comparison video. You guys know I love making comparison videos. Let me just pull in everything kind of in here. So you guys know I like making comparison videos. And I have never done one discussing the differences between the Cold Steel Recon 1 and the Cold Steel American Lawman. Now, they are very different knives, but I do think that's a really interesting and worthwhile discussion. And so I'm going to try I'm going to try to get to that video right away. So in the next couple of days, you should see that video come up. I hope you enjoy it. And I'd love to hear your comments below on this knife, but I'd really like to hear comments on that video as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.